Panthers beat the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history. However, they almost lost it in embarrassing fashion. The Florida Panthers were winning the series 3-0 when they allowed the Oilers to come back to tie the series 3-3. One loss away from letting the Oilers complete the best comeback in NHL history. But the Panthers were able to keep that from happening and secured a well-earned Stanley Cup victory after a dominant season. I'm a mental performance coach who studies the mentalities of elite athletes. And after studying both teams, here's why the Florida Panthers defeated the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup.
What makes this team special?
It's the way they treat each other. They love each other.
The first reason is that they had genuine love for each other. That meant that they were all unified for a common purpose. Now, everyone in the NHL wants to win a Stanley Cup, but the difference between teams that win the Stanley Cup and teams that don't are the ones that are unified together. There were no egos that wanted to win the Stanley Cup only for selfish reasons. Even more than their own desires to win the Stanley Cup, they put their team's desires to win the Stanley Cup above themselves. There were many cases where players were throwing their bodies in front of the goal or in front of the puck to try to protect their goal. That showed they weren't worried about looking cool or protecting themselves from injury. They weren't worried about any of that. They were more worried about the team's goal and desires for the season than their own. And that's why the saying is true that teams win championships and not individuals. Because to win a championship, it requires unselfish acts from everyone on the team. In Game 7, the score was 2-1. That means the margins were so small. One selfish decision here from the Oilers might have prevented them from scoring a goal, and one unselfish decision from the Panthers might have allowed them to score a goal or save a goal, and that was the difference. For a team to win a championship, it requires unselfish acts from everyone on the team, and that stems from the team having genuine love and chemistry with each other, which not every team has.
We wanted to win so badly that in games 4 through 6, we were pressing and not playing the defense first game. That is our DNA.
Now, the reason why the Panthers almost lost the Stanley Cup and almost allowed the Oilers to have one of the greatest comebacks in NHL history is because they were playing out of character. The Panthers were known for being a defensive first team, and they had played that way the entire season. And it had worked out. They were first place in their division. But once they made it to the Stanley Cup, and they were so close to winning that Stanley Cup, they stopped playing Florida Panther hockey, which had got them to that point, just because they wanted to score goals and attack just so they could win the Stanley Cup.
Once we went up 3-0, you start to think about the end result and stop thinking about the process a little bit, and I think we got caught up in that.
And since they were so focused on winning the trophy, they forgot about the process that would lead them to win the trophy. Now, this might not make sense when I first tell you, but if you want to win a game, or especially win a championship, you can't think about winning. You have to think about the process to win. A phrase that I tell my athletes that I coach is focus on the process, not the prize. Because if you focus only on the process and playing as best as you can as a team, what do you think will happen?
And we finally got to our game, and I think that was a difference tonight.
So focus on the process, not the prize.
We played well. Maybe if we could find a way to score on that power play, the game's different. We have the looks that we want. It just doesn't go, I wish I had a better explanation for you.
I will say that Conor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers did take the loss well. Conor McDavid saying it just didn't go is the perfect representation of what happens sometimes with failure. McDavid understands that there's some things that are out of your control. Sure, the Oilers could have done a little bit more here or there to win the game, but at the end of the day, they took the shots, they had opportunities, and sometimes it just doesn't go. With some of the Oilers shots, if they were just 1 inch to the right or left, they could have scored a goal and tied the game or even won the game. But sometimes it just doesn't go, and it's not necessarily your fault. And on the other hand, with the Panthers, if their shots would have been 1 inch to the right or left, they could have missed the goal and allowed the Oilers to come back. So there's always going to be some element of luck or a referee mistake that's just out of your control. But what was in his control was his effort and how he executed his team's game plan. And I think he maximized that to the best of his ability.
We had lots of looks, just didn't go.
What's also in his control is his response to a loss like this. In the moment, it was right of McDavid not to beat himself up too much because they didn't have a bad performance. It just wasn't their day. And they did a great job not giving up and making the comeback that they did. But I can tell over the next few days and weeks, McDavid will figure out what he could have done better in this series and learn and improve from it. And I wouldn't count him out from winning a Stanley Cup in the next few years. And when he does, the victory will taste even sweeter.
And the fact that it was so hard makes it so special.
That's why I think the Florida Panthers beat the Edmonton Oilers. But why do you think they did? If you're an athlete and you'd be interested in taking your mental game to the next level, then click the link in the description to schedule a free consultation with me.